All right, got awful quiet quick in here. All right, I'm showing 6 o'clock, so good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Tuesday, August 2nd City Council agenda session. I will call this meeting to order, and the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation, if he chooses, will be led by Councilman Smith. Please rise, face the flag, render the proper salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Allegiance.
Thank you, Councilman Smith. Tonight, we do have a special presentation, and I'd like to turn the floor over to Dr. Burrs, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a special occasion. For this past several weeks, we have been listening to very worthy organizations that have come and made their pitch for ARP money, which we have approved with pleasure and look forward to their work. As I was sitting there listening, I realized that we have a very important group, unsung, who did not apply for funding, but who has all along been doing really terrific stuff. It's been my pleasure to be working with them, to be talking at my office, to be plotting and planning things that they can do with and for our kids. We hear so many unkind things about the police, and we never hear the good things. For the past couple of weeks, the Chattanooga Black police officers and firefighters have been offering things in the community that I think they deserve the right to brag about, and we need to listen to, because I couldn't be more proud of my friends that I'm working with. They make me feel good. So without further ado, Sergeant, if you would come forward. And please bring your friends with you. How about those two?
Yes, ma'am.
They're notorious. I know them. Come on.
Before we introduce ourselves, good evening to the council, good evening to the citizens of Chattanooga. Before we start to introduce ourselves, give you a quick backdrop of how this all came together. Back before I started and Sergeant Young started, there was a collaboration with Black police and Black firefighters. Majority of us are from these communities that have been stricken with violence. So what we decided to do a couple of weeks ago, actually about a month or two ago, start to work together to go back to those communities that we come from, because a lot of people in those communities know us. And that helps build that relationship that we've been missing for so long. So what we decided to do was every month we plan on doing something, no matter if it's something big to something small. We want to get out there in the community to show them that we all are one, that we're not separate. So I'm gonna introduce myself. I'm Sergeant Jason Holmes with the Chattanooga Police Department.
I'm Sergeant David Young with the Chattanooga Police Department.
Firefighter Alan Green with the Chattanooga Fire Department.
Retired Captain David Brooks with Chattanooga Fire Department.
Notice he said retired.
I picked that up.
Okay. All right. We have a release that we're going to actually hand over to the secretary so you all can have it for your archives. So I'll start off. So August 2nd, 2022, the National Black Police Officers Association, Chattanooga Chapter, and the International Associations of Black Professional Firefighters, Chattanooga Chapter, would like to present the following release. On June 26, 2022, these organizations, in collaboration with the Avondale Recreation Center and a host of other supporters and volunteers, hosted the first annual Juneteenth 3-on-3 basketball tournament. The event was birthed from the ideal that community relations with the police and first responders and fire department is vital for one to feel safe and connected. With recent high-profile violent events, it became clear that many youth and families had developed a heightened fear and have to question safety when choosing to attend or partake in social events and or the opportunity to explore and enjoy the city of Chattanooga. The men and women associated with these organizations have provided 2 events to date and plan to offer these safe activities for the months and years to come. The Juneteenth tournament provided youth and families with free food, healthy competition, resource information, and health screenings, and the chance to engage with the first responders outside of an incident response. Gerald Perry and the staff at the Everdale Recreation Center were highly engaged in the planning process and provided hands-on support throughout the day. Councilwoman Burks believed in the vision of this event and provided her support as well. The volunteers and those that submitted donations ensured that the water, Gatorade, and food was available for all in attendance. The images provided to the council give you the best reflection in the fun we all had. Oh, I keep going. Oh. Also present was Councilwoman Coonrod. Apologize. She's actually was out there shooting ball with the kids. Apologize. On June 9, 2022, the IABPFF hosted their annual kickball tournament in partnership with the PPCH, Pain, Perseverance, Character, and Hope Incorporated. Due to the weather, the fund was moved inside with various games. In attendance and participated in competitive fun. The officers, EMTs, firefighters, and community members got actively involved with a tug of war, tag, sack races, and dodgeball. Also present was our mayor. Also, he was there, and I didn't realize he had an arm on him when he was playing dodgeball. So yeah, he can't participate no more in dodgeball. Also, also before I move on, present that was at the kickball was our newly elected, Chief Murphy. As noted prior, the collaboration between these organizations continued to grow. On August 6, 2022, assistance and support we provided at the Back to School Bash being held at the Shepherd Community Center. The Order of the Eastern Star Chapter Ladies of Endurance, number 874, is partnering and hosting with the Chattanooga chapter of the National Black Police Association, the Chattanooga chapter of Black Firefighter Association also. The bash will be open to the community and will provide another opportunity for the community members to engage with first responders, retrieve community resources information, enjoy free food, and do so with a sense of safety and security. Free school supplies, giveaways, and haircuts will be provided. As each event concludes, plans will be made to highlight and promote the next community safe, family fun, and relationship building activity. Plans are currently being made to host a fire and safety informational at the Bethel Christian Academy. The students there will have also be treated to lunch and games with the police and firefighters. In this commitment of these units, it is the commitment of these units to be visible, engaging, supportive, and rooted in the city.
Can we show the pictures?
Go ahead.
Can you show the pictures for them? Go ahead and click your pictures.
Which one?
Go ahead.
I ain't doing that. Somebody else is.
Do it.
Which one is it? Oh, there we go. He got it. Slow down a little bit. So what y'all noticing now, we started the event outside and it started to rain, it started to storm and lightning. So we moved the event inside and we continue to have the tournament inside. We had various kids from all the way from the city of Chattanooga, from Cleveland and North Georgia, that came up to participate in this event. It was a wonderful event. After the event, we started getting more information started pouring in of volunteers, and also kids was actually texting their friends who was there saying, next year, I'm coming, I'm going to be there. So we know come next year that the event will be larger than what it was now. So one of the things we do want to promote with us, fire department and the police department, is that we all are one, that we all want to provide safe activities and have a safe environment. We know that there's a lot of nonprofit organizations out there doing their part, and we just know that we have to do ours. So that's it. All right. Y'all want to say something?
Yeah. First, let me say thank you to everybody that has supported what we've been doing in our cause, especially, Brothers United. the Black police officers, the chiefs, and all the departments, the community as well. I know the fire department been real supportive of everything that we've tried to do and bring to the table. They say, go ahead, we support you. It's not been a time where I felt like it was a real opposition to what we was trying to do. One of the things that we talked about, Jason and I and Sergeant Young at the 3-on-3 tournament. Of course, I showed up and didn't know I was going to be on the grill with Mayweather, but that's fine. He talked me to death. We looked around and we said, you know what? All of these people are here because of our relationships with them. It wasn't about being in the police department or the fire department or being Black men. It was about the relationships that we established prior to being at that event. So we always go back to our relationships in the community, and who better than the ones that are always in contact with our neighbors and our community to have these relationships. We are aggressive right now about being in the community and being in people's lives outside of calls, outside of incidents, outside of when there's an emergency. We want them to know that, listen, we just like you. We love you. I grew up with your mom. I grew up with your sister, your dad. A lot of kids I come across in the mentor field, I know their parents. I grew up with them. So right now, that's how we set that. We say, you know what? We're asking all these questions, what need to be done? How can we change what's going on in our city? It's us. It's us first responders. We got to step up and do this. And you all know the history with how people feel about the police department. So we say, you know what? As firefighters on the other side of the hall, we're going to ride with y'all.
Mhm.
Because when they see me and they see Sergeant Holmes, they may feel a certain way about him because of his uniform, but they know me. Well, I can't feel that way about him because I know who Allen is. I know what type of guy he is. And if he's with Sergeant Holmes, he has to be of the same caliber. So that's what we're on. And that's how we started the ideal of As One community kickball game. Everything you all will see will be As One because that's the mission. It don't matter if you live on Lookout Mountain, Sided Days, North Chattanooga, South Side, Painted Woods, East Chattanooga, East Lake, Rossville, we are As One. You're on different sides of the town, but we're going to circulate throughout our city, our community, and we're going to have different events everywhere. Belted Bible Village, people don't know, that's our community. They may not come off that campus much, but those are still our kids and our youth. It's a Christian group home if you don't know about it, and it's Belted Christian Academy, which is why we're going to go there and take our resources to them, and again, As One. So we're excited about it. We're going to push forward. I didn't know this was coming up. I don't think he did even when we started, but here we are. Many plans of the man's heart, but God prevailed, right? That's what we
Amen.
believe. Oh, let me get that. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm gonna put up next. So I left off something, actually two things. For this month, we didn't get a chance to actually put it on the paper yet because it came up kind of sort of at the last minute. Myself and Alan went over to the Chattanooga Charter School, also with Sergeant Crawl, on their, I think it was their first day of orientation. And we talked about gun safety and we talked about fire safety. We had a couple of individuals, parents that came up afterwards, and myself and Alan were able to address them about safety of guns, where you put them, where you place them. We know that as of right now of last year, there was a lot of kids who brought guns to school. So what we decided even that day was what we're going to plan on doing when schools start to get kicked off is to try to go around to these schools and talk to teachers, talk to the parents that show up, and also the kids. Because we figure that if they can be educated on it, we might have a better chance of saving somebody's life. So with that being said, I'll let Chief Murphy go first before I say that.
I was going to say, Jason, you might want to look behind you.
I'll try to be fast. I just wanted to make sure that I didn't go without this being said. As I enter my fourth month with this beautiful city and this awesome department, I would just say I was took hostage by the Black Firefighters Union and I jokingly say forced into a relationship, but they made a point of we're going to be on your calendar, and it created a relationship between the both of us, police and fire, to make sure that we do continue in this good work. And I'll say that because of the first quarter of my existence here, I've been so busy, but these are the initiatives that are in my heart, and they've been doing it without any support from me. And when I say that this is in their blood, I mean, these guys are working voluntarily on their off time. Some of them who normally their work schedule is
when you're sleeping, they're out working. So they do this, you know, off schedule and on their off time on top of it. So I just want to make sure that I do, as much as they know I appreciate them and, you know, rib them at the same time. I just want to make sure that I publicly announce how proud I am to be able to work alongside them. And I expect that we're going to do great things. So when I'm begging for help and support, and especially money, this is why. It has nothing to do with me. It has to do with these people right here who deserve it. And there are other groups as well that are deserving. But to his point, this hits home for them. And this is how we need to project ourselves and reinvent what first responders look like to the community. So I just want to thank you all publicly. And I know that picture's frozen up there. He was not the limbo king. The champion of limbo was firefighter Green, but somebody cheated.
Thank you, Chief. So before we finish, I'd be remiss not to mention a certain person in my life that has been real vocal on all these activities that ourselves and the Black firefighters been planning to do. And I want to give that, what you call it, notoriety, whatever it is. I'm about to get emotional, I'm sorry. But to my sister, Erica Holmes, she's been very she's been very instrumental on a lot of these events, making sure that we don't drop the ball. With phone calls, with Zoom calls. As soon as I ask my sister for something, she's coming to help. So, like I said, we just want to present to you all what's about to take off in the city. And we're going to work day and night to make sure that we can do our part to be visible, to bridge that communication with us, first responders, and also the community. So before I finish, and Councilwoman Burks talked about it, we will be touching every one of you all's districts. Just be patient. We're coming. But in the meantime, if you all have any ideas that you want to bring to your community to better your community, feel free to reach out to us. We will be there. No, it's not an answer. Y'all have any questions?
Before I forget, if we're in your district and you show up, please show up with the appropriate attire, okay? Just get that understood. Be ready to play whatever we're doing. Kickball, softball, basketball, soccer, flag football. Bring your gear. Bring your family. All right? It's for everybody. You can come in your suits if you want to. They're going to get dirty and sweaty. I didn't say that part.
So to the council, do y'all have any questions for us?
Sergeant, I'm not seeing any lights, and I'm hoping that there would be some, and here they come, sir. Councilman Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you all for everything that you do in the community day, by night, nonstop. It's not lost on us. But it is really great to get to see you in person down here telling us about the great things that are going on. And it's not just once or twice a year that these things are happening. So I would like to extend an invitation as often as you would like to come down. We would love to hear from you and hear what's going on. So thank you again very, very much for everything that you're doing. My question would just be making sure that we are all notified with enough time to make sure that we do have the proper attire, just in case the tennis shoes are a little ragged or something along those lines. We want to make sure that we're ready for when you are in the district. So please make sure that we've got that calendar so that we can all plan to attend as much as possible. But again, thank you so much for everything that you're doing.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Smith. Madam Vice Chair. Don't go away yet. We're not done. Don't go away yet.
Oh, sorry.
All right, real quick, I just want to again echo the sentiments of Councilman Smith and say thank y'all so much. I'm familiar with most of you, Bring Up Panthers in here. And so I'm just excited about the work that you're doing. I cannot wait till you get to District 7. And just for Allen, I will not participate, but I'm here to support. All right, thank you.
Ooh, I saw that look on his face. Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Councilman Hester.
I want to thank you guys too. Can't wait till you guys come to Brainerd and to make it to the hills, man. I got the jumper ready for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Hester. Councilwoman Coonrod.
Thank you, Chair. I've been practicing that layup.
That'll work.
I'm ready. I'm coming dressed, but I'm happy to support you all in every district. And I'm really excited and waiting on y'all to come to District 9. So count me in.
Gotcha.
All right. Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Knoll.
Hi, thank you all as well, but I think you already hit District 8, am I correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I'm sorry I missed that, but next time around.
We
and I'm
coming
gonna
back around.
I'm gonna ditto with Councilwoman Dotley. I won't be playing, but I'll definitely be there supporting cheer. So,
Thank
get
you.
ready. I can do that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. Sergeant, I'll say what I need to say and then turn it back over to Dr. Burrs to close us out. But what I see right in front of me just tickles me inside. I see commitment. I see leadership. I see love. I see hope. Y'all are doing something really fascinating. The one thing that breaks my heart is to hear that you're not funded or supported. Yeah, I said that out loud. So that's something I think we need to work on as well, because I see so much potential. When I see the red and the blue working together like that, that is what we should all aspire to. And I'm already seeing fist bumps back there by the fire department and police. Look at that. You see that? That's what I'm talking about. And thank you for caring about our kids and our community, because it matters, and you all matter, and what you do matters to us, and it matters so much. So God bless you. And let's keep this going.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Burrs.
I didn't know I had so much power.
That's great. So this afternoon, I told you that this would be a good experience for you. I'm very proud of my friends. We're working hard. Please, anything that you need, no idea is too outrageous. If it helps our kids, we can figure out a way to do it. Thank you so much to my friends. You were great. You were wonderful. You were terrific. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Very good. Well, we certainly appreciate that update and that presentation. And I'm telling you what, that's gonna be uplifting to me. I'm in. Can I get a motion for our minutes, please? I do have a motion for our minutes. They have been seconded and they will stand without objection. We do not have ordinances on final reading. We will move into ordinances on first reading under community development. Madam Clerk, item A.
An ordinance amending Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 2 by adding Article 16, Chattanooga Department of Community Development, including the Office of Family Empowerment Advisory Board.
Do you have a motion to approve? Do you hear a second? Any questions, comments before we vote? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Madam Clerk, under planning, item B, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance so as to rezone an unaddressed property in the 7500 block of Standiford Gap Road from R1 residential zone to RTZ residential townhouse to a lot line zone subject to certain conditions.
Is the applicant present? I do have an applicant. Is there any opposition and/or persons wishing to address the council on this matter? I do have persons wishing to address the council on this matter. At this time, I will turn this over to Councilman Smith. But before we do that, do you need your 7 minutes? No? Mr. Hughes, would you like to come forward? Please, sir. The floor is yours.
I'm a little slow. My yard was not accustomed to all the rain, and I had a little slip. So I do have a few aches and pains, but what I'm going to talk about is not an ache nor a pain. It's something that we really are proud of. I'm Hugh Gardner. My wife and I, Mary of 68 years, have lived at 7466 Twin Brook Drive. And it's located directly behind the proposed townhome project that we're talking about. We built this home and have lived in it for 45 years. We've enjoyed the privacy, the security of the trees, the land behind us, which is also served as a sound barrier between us and I-75. I'm only speaking tonight for my wife and I, although we're sad to see our buffer and probably wildlife disappear. We're not specifically opposing the rezoning request, mainly because of the conditions originally discussed and presented that included the height restriction of the townhomes, limiting them to 4 units per pad, and the 2-story height restriction for those units on the southern border. The 20-foot undisturbed area, additional 10-foot landscaped area, and now a 7-foot private security fence that will be located at the 30-foot border closest to the townhomes. If the rezoning is approved, we hope that the developer will proceed and operate in good faith based on these conditions. Our word is our bond, and we are voting for the project. I want to especially thank Councilman Ledford for his help, all his communication and personal visits with us and our neighbors. Also, I wanted to thank Alan Jones of ASA Engineering also for meeting with us and our neighbors and the emails and communications. With that, I'll say thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gardner. I appreciate those words. I'm now going to call on Councilman Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Gardner, thank you.
All right. Thank Mr. Garner for coming up and giving us those words. And I agree 100% about word being bond, but I also believe in making sure that that word's written down. So with that, I do have one change that I will be recommending, but first let's get this on the floor. I move to approve.
Do we have a motion? I do have a second.
All right. Now I'd like to move to amend. One of the conditions still states 6-foot fence. I would like to amend that to say 7-foot, please. And
I do have a motion to amend. I do hear a second. Questions or comments on the amendment to 7 feet before we vote? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion to amend has
Move to
been,
approve as amended.
and the motion to approve as amended. I do hear a second. Questions, comments before we vote? All those in favor say aye as amended.
Aye.
Opposed? Item is approved as amended. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, resolutions under community development. Item A, please.
A resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Community Development Coast Division to enter into agreements with Grassbuster Lawn Maintenance and River City Remodeling for litter abatement and structure boarding services with an option to renew with each vendor each year for up to 4 years for an amount not to exceed $350,000.
Have a motion to approve. I do hear a second. Questions, comments before we vote? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Under fire, Madam Clerk, will you please read without objection items B and C? We'll take those as a package.
Yes. Item B, a resolution to amend resolution number 29780 entitled a resolution authorizing the Director of Wireless Communications to execute a lease agreement for the Tennessee Valley Regional Communications System, TVRCS, with Cold Creek Ventures for a tower site located on Wind Rock Mountain in Anderson County for a term of 3 years and with a monthly rental amount of $1,600 for years 1 through 3 with an escalating clause for years 4 through 9 as described herein for a total of $57,600 by adding additional funds in the amount of $13,200 for a revised total amount of $70,800. Item C, a resolution to amend resolution number 29781 entitled a resolution authorizing the Director of Wireless Communications to execute a lease agreement for the Tennessee Valley Regional Communications System, TVRCS, with Cold Creek Ventures for a tower site located on Cross Mountain in Campbell County for a term of 3 years and with a monthly rental amount of $1,600 for years 1 through 3, with an escalating clause for years 4 through 9 as described herein, for a total of $57,600 by adding additional funds in the amount of $13,200 for a revised total amount of $70,800.
Councilman Henderson.
Move to approve items B and C.
Thank you, sir. I have a motion to approve items B and C. I do have a second. Questions, comments before we vote? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Items carried. B and C under Parks and Public Works. Madam Clerk, item D, please.
A resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Public Works to enter into a public-private partnership agreement with MBSC Black Creek LLC for the collection and long-term study of data related to infiltration, evaporation, and water reuse volumes at Black Creek Club in exchange for the issuance of credit coupons at market rate in accordance with City Code Section 31 through 356.2.
Councilman Henderson.
Move to approve.
Do we have a motion to approve with a second? Questions, comments before we vote on this item? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Item carries. Mr. Goldberg. We have a short list of purchases this evening.
Yes, sir. We have 3 items for approval tonight. First item from Technology Services, new blanket contract for a citywide social media management platform. This is a sole source procurement and the vendor is Sprout Social. This will be a 2-year contract with an annual amount not to exceed $42,631.20. Second, from Technology Services, a new blanket contract for Crime Watch cameras. This is a sole source procurement and the vendor is Convergent Technologies LLC. This will be a 4-year contract with an annual amount not to exceed $1,500,000. Third, from Fleet Management Division and Public Works, we have the purchase of a STEP STPH 4.0 truck-mounted pothole patcher. This purchase utilizes National Cooperative Purchasing Alliance Contract 05-26. The vendor is JetVac LLC, and the amount is $185,334.60.
I have a motion to approve purchases. I do hear a second. Questions, comments before we vote? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Our purchases are approved. We have 2 RFPs this evening.
Yes, sir. The first one is from, well, first I'll say we are requesting approval to issue RFPs, not approval to award any contracts at this time. The first RFP is from Human Resources for behavioral health services for sworn employees. An RFP is necessary because cost is not the primary determining factor. Qualifications, approach, and location of services are important factors as well. Second one is from the Regional Planning Agency. This is for a market study to assess existing real estate market conditions and trends within the city of Chattanooga and Hamilton County. An RFP is necessary because cost is not the primary determining factor. Qualifications and approach are important as well.
Thank you. I have a motion to approve the RFPs for this evening. I do hear a second. Questions, comments before we vote? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Thank you, Mr. Goldberg. Your RFPs
Thank you.
can move forward. Committee reports. Let's see. I started, I think, that way last time. Councilman Henderson. Councilwoman Hill. Councilman Smith.
No report, Mr. Chair.
Councilman Hester.
No report.
Councilwoman Coonrod. Hit your light for me since you're announcing that date, please. Okay, your light's not coming on, so I want to make sure everyone heard that. August 16th, we will have a community development committee meeting, and we will talk about workforce development. Thank you. Councilwoman Knoll? All right. Dr. Burrs? Madam Vice Chair?
No report today, but the Equity and Community Development Committee will meet next Tuesday for updates on neighborhood services, code enforcement, and a presentation of the West Side Evolves plan.
Thank you. That ends our committee reports for this evening. We do have an announcement by the city attorney, Mr. Noblett.
Yes, sir. On Friday, I participated in a mediation in the case of Titus Hartford versus Officer Elliott, and the city is resolved for $29,000 plus the mediation costs in this case. And I think there's a $200 fee. Beyond that, that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Noblett.
Yes, sir.
We've now come to the part of our meeting where recognitions of persons wishing to address the council. Does anyone wish to address the council this evening? If you do, please come to the podium. If you'll come one at a time, just for safe reasons, that would be wonderful. I appreciate that. And Mr. Attorney, will you please read our rules for public speaking at city council meetings?
Yes, sir. In the end of each council meeting, the chair will recognize members of the public who wish to address the council. Here's your rules. Each speaker has to come up to the microphone. You can only speak at the microphone that's provided. You can't have more than 3 minutes to speak, and you can address the council only upon matters within the legislative and quasi-judicial authority of the council, and not upon matters which are not under the authority of the council or are regulated by other governmental bodies. Can't use vulgar language or obscene language, nor use the floor to personally attack or personally denigrate others. Speakers should address the council as a whole and not make comments directed towards individual council members. And if you want to do so, you can only do it one time a day, and you can't allow disorderly conduct or disrupting a public meeting, which is prohibited by Tennessee law. And a person commits an offense if the person substantially obstructs or interferes with the meeting by physical action or verbal utterance with the intent to prevent or disrupt a lawful meeting to occur. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Noblet. Good evening. Can we get 3 minutes, please? And we have that. Ms. Mott?
Marie Mott, District 8. I have several things that I want to address this evening. The first, that I have pulled drugs off of 2 young men in my community, and I didn't want to report them to the police because I don't want them to be penalized, but rather be helped. But I felt that what I pulled off of them was fentanyl. There needs to be an understanding in my purview. What do we do when we identify people in our community are using opioids? How should they be safely disposed of? What should families and friends have on hand should we need to save lives and loved ones who might potentially have an overdose? Number 2, I have a question this evening as to how does the city intend to mitigate the monkeypox that is popping up in our city, that is spreading all across this country, and limit the possibility of an endemic? As far as the roadmap to end gun violence, I have several questions about that people in this room I think need to write down. The first is, how do you intend to establish community trust with your plan, which I do not feel has been done? What is the intended outcome annually? How will you measure progress, and what alternatives have been explored? How do you intend to change or impact social norms? Have you considered that institutional and structural racism account for much of the de facto segregation that has historically impacted our communities and led to hotbeds of violence? An excellent book on this would be by Jelani Cobb, which is The Essentials of the Kerner Report, which was a study that was commissioned by President Lyndon B. Johnson in 1968 after various different riots happened in 1967 and continued violence. What they outlined in the report was rather shocking but true, that the majority of the violence is a byproduct of white supremacy and racism in our society. And there were 12 grievances that they outlined in the study, which was: the first level of intensity that causes problems are police practices, unemployment and underemployment, inadequate housing. The second level of intensity is inadequate education, poor recreation facilities and programs, ineffectiveness of the political structure and grievance mechanisms. And the third level of intensity is disrespectful white attitudes, discriminatory administration of justice, inadequacy of federal programs, inadequacy of municipal programs, discriminatory consumer and credit practices, and inadequate welfare programs. And I also just want to state, rules for this council go both ways. If we cannot attack you and outline you, then the council cannot do that to us either. And Chairman, you failed in your duty as a chairman in my purview to allow any council person that I feel would attack a Black person for white sport.
Good evening, Council. Nicholas Knable, District 1. Last time I was up here, it seems many of you have not been here in a while, but took what I said maybe as a personal attack. So I'd like to take my narrative back. It's not personal, it's politics. So get to know me. I was a political science major at the illustrious institution known as North Carolina Agricultural and State University, all-black college in North Carolina. My father grew up picking cotton in Gulf, Georgia. My mother was an Italian woman in Miami, Florida. I'm not a native of Chattanooga, nor a native of Tennessee, but I'll share it with you all. My first memory of when I moved to Nashville when I was 4 years old. One day I was outside playing with neighborhood kids and got called, I guess I can't say the word now, but it starts with the N. My instant response was to run home crying, not even knowing at the time what the word meant, but I knew it hurt. My white mother had to look at me and ask why I was crying. I told her. Her response was, so what? White people spend millions of dollars a year, every year, just to look like you. Your skin is your power. Don't take it personal. I'm the former financial clerk of District 1 in the town of Signal Mountain. While working for the town of Signal Mountain, I learned of the hemlock trees that have more protection than I do, as well as the women in this state. But that wasn't personal, that was politics. I grew up watching Andy Griffith, and I understand now why Barney had one bullet. At the end of every episode, my mother would ask, what's the moral of the story? So again, I'm taking my narrative back. In my Baha'i faith, it is against my religion to ban books. Yet here in Chattanooga and in Tennessee, we are banning books. I don't have kids. I'm fortunate. I'm blessed. I do not want kids. Because if I have kids now, due to my faith, I cannot send them to public school because they ban books at public schools, and that is against my religion. We do not ban books. I was talking with some members in my faith this last Sunday at church. Peter Pan's banned, and they didn't understand that. So now people in my faith are taking their kids out of these public schools. And me, I'm just choosing not to have them. So again, this week, my ask is for you all to expand your moral compass and keep the separation of church and state strong. And also never forget that the South lost. Thank y'all.
Hi, good evening, Council.
Good evening.
Once again, actually, good news. I did find a place to live, so I'm not houseless anymore. But that doesn't mean that there are not still homeless people out there, always. And so I am here to represent them, to show you that people are still here, they're still out there. And over the weekend, I got involved in a couple of police instances, not because I was in trouble, but because I saw a lot of squad cars going to the alleyway, Cooper's alleyway. Do you know where that is? It's over by like Cherry Street. There was a man that was passed out. He was disoriented, so they couldn't understand what he was saying. But I took the initiative to grab a water from Cherry Street and bring it out to him. When I was talking to the police officers about where they were going to bring him, they said that this man only had two options because he was homeless, and that was they would take him to the hospital, and the hospital can deny him care, which he would go back out to the street, or he would go out to jail. So I'm wondering, why can't we offer more options to our homeless people besides jail or the street? So until we start putting more work into getting people off the street, I'm going to keep showing up here along with everybody else that's here. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name's Harold Gunther. I live in District 8, and this is my first time addressing the council, so if I break the rules, I couldn't quite hear the city attorney. I am not intending to. I'm just offering some constructive criticism. I appreciate all of your service, as I do everyone who serves our city, but I want to talk about job preparedness as it pertains to the police. I don't think they're paid enough, but I also believe they're not trained properly for certain instances. Allow me to illustrate this with an eyewitness account of a friend of mine who lived a block away from 1705 South Lyerly Street on July 24th, 2022. Police were called by a man's mother or grandmother to come remove him from her premises because he was acting in a way that was threatening to an old woman. When the police arrived, every other member of the family was outside of the house, and the perpetrator was inside the house alone, unarmed. The matriarch of the family walked up to the police and handed them the key to her house, implying that they were welcome to go in, and then she nevertheless verbalized her consent. The police set up on the front lawn, and instead of trying to reason with the man, they started threatening him through the bullhorn. The man was not a threat to the police. As I said, he had no weapon. The police, on the other hand, were well armed. In fact, this one man inside of a residential home, unarmed, was warranted bringing a police tank out, an armored vehicle. The police had a social worker on call 2 blocks away, sitting in a car waiting to be called. They didn't call her in. Instead, they smashed out the windows of this old woman's house. They cut a hole in her roof, and in order to shoot several tear gas canisters into the house. When the man came out with his hands high in the air, he was tackled by police and violently detained. To call this police response an overreaction would be intentionally obtuse. My recommendation is that the person who owns this house be contacted by someone from the city. I'd start with an apology, but also follow up with a show of good faith and offer to fix her house for her. It was reported to me that the woman could not retrieve her prescription medicine for 24 hours due to the tear gas. So I have a request in for the police report, but obviously this body before me now is way better equipped to expedite recompense for the citizen of Chattanooga. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council.
Good evening, sir.
My name is Curtis Lancaster. I'm from the South Side. I don't have a problem with the development project that everybody's talking about, but I do when it comes to the stadium. I don't feel like the stadium should be a part of this development. Reason being is you don't fill the stadium up that we have now. Not only that, but a couple of years ago, they were talking about doing away with minor league baseball. And I don't feel the Lookout's gonna be here and it's just a waste of our money. And I think with the election coming up, we should have had a say in the citizens of Chattanooga about this project, about this stadium deal. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to address council this evening? Council seeing none, we are adjourned.